Conference realignment, a term very popularly used in the sports media today, but what exactly is it? Well, see, a couple years back, all the major conferences made some additions, and most of those kick into effect this year. So, football's going to look a little different this upcoming season, with a bunch of teams bouncing around, switching. So, I decided to take a look at what these changes are so you don't have to. Here we go. Realignment in the SEC. The SEC has been the most dominant conference in the college football playoff era, winning 6 of 10 championships. Now, this conference powerhouse adds 2 new contenders to the fray. Texas, a 2000s dynamo, comes in with the more recent playoff experience, losing to Washington in the semifinals last year. With returning quarterbacks Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning leading the charge, they're favorites in the coming years. Oklahoma, on the other hand, became a staple in the college football playoff, making it 4 times total in 3 years in a row. Did that translate into any success for them, though? No, it did not. While Oklahoma was a regular in the playoffs, its 0-4 record made it a laughingstock amongst fan bases. Sure, there were a couple of close losses, but most of their losses in the playoffs were blowouts. So what exactly did these teams add? Competition, sure, but the destruction of age-old rivalries and divisions entirely. So why even add them? Money. The answer is money. Realignment in the ACC. In the world that is conference realignment, the ACC really got the short end of the stick. After their undefeated champion in Florida State failed to make the playoffs last year, their new additions were ready to finally make that weak conference a little bit stronger. And so, in came Cal, Stanford, and SMU. Really, guys? I mean, sure, Stanford was good 10 years ago, but they've been 3-9 the last 3 years. Now, Cal haven't had 10-win season since 2006. SMU are coming from the group of 5 and haven't won a bowl game since 2012. Now, am I saying that these additions won't ever help the ACC? Of course I'm not. But what I am saying is that if you already have a Boston College in your conference, you really don't need to add 3 more Boston colleges. So, go get them, I guess. Realignment in the Big Ten. Well, the Big Ten are probably the biggest winners of realignment. They're certainly the biggest liars, as they now hold 18 teams. With USC, Oregon, and Washington all joining the conference, the Big Ten added 3 playoff contenders to their mix. Oh yeah, and UCLA joined too. But back to the serious teams. USC and Lincoln Riley are always a contender with a high-flying offense and an equally suspect defense. Washington just made the finals last year, and even though they lost both their coach and quarterback, they look to make it back to the playoffs for the 2nd year in a row. Oregon brought in highly talented transfer quarterback Dylan Gabriel, which should raise their ceiling through the roof. And UCLA, well, they got rid of Chip Kelly, so everybody did some stuff, I guess. But with divisionless football in the Big Ten, we aren't forced to watch the winner of Ohio State-Michigan play Iowa every year. So yeah, I like it. The Big 12 realignment. The Big 12 realignment is probably the most confusing one because they have their best 2 teams in Texas and Oklahoma leaving. But they have 8 new teams ready to step up, except that 4 of them joined last year. Let me explain. BYU and Houston went 5-7 and 4-8 respectively, and even UCF couldn't prove themselves, going 6-7. Cincinnati, even, who was in the playoffs back in 2021, couldn't do anything, finishing the year 3-9. So what exactly changes this year? Well, Utah come in as favorites to win the whole conference with Cam Rising back at the helm, and Arizona and Noah Fafita come in as the biggest risers of last year. Colorado and Deion Sanders rejoined the conference with the biggest swagger of any team, and Arizona State, well, they joined too. Now the Big 16, the Big 12, seem locked in a fight against the ACC to see who's really more mid. Only time will tell. The Pac-12 realignment. Sorry about that. I was just trying to take my inner Pac-12 and destroy literally everything, leaving only Oregon State and Washington State left. Oregon State, who just had their head coach taken by Michigan State this past offseason, and Washington State, who haven't been good since 2018 when Gardner Minshew and Mike Leach. Additionally, the Pac 12 added no new teams. So they only have those teams. So you may be wondering, will these teams just play each other every week during the conference schedule? Well, no, not exactly. You see, even though their rivals Oregon and Washington moved to the Big Ten, Oregon State and Washington State will still play against their rivals, albeit on September 14th instead of during rivalry weekend. And for their conference schedule, they'll play against the Mountain West Conference, who hosts San Diego State, Air Force, Boise State, Hawaii. So sorry, sue me for not caring. And that's it. That's all the Power Five conferences and all the changes that will be made for the upcoming season. Season starts late August, early September, and all the games will take place with all these new teams and all the fun primetime matchups. Until then, I'm Caleb. Thanks for watching.